reservations and promise them everything. Oh, sure. By the windows. Oh, sure.
Go for about.
All right.
How are you doing?
Spike, I am doing great. And
Yeah, we were just talking about we've been meet each other since 1986. She's going to have the first film.
And you came to Dallas.
Yes, I did.
Yes. And I knew who you were, but of course, excuse me, I knew who you were, but you didn't have the resume that you have now.
I've been doing a couple of things.
Yeah, a lot of good things. And now we come to the present movie, She Hates Me.
She Hate Me.
Bill Cosby's going to be all over you.
Well, Bill Cosby's my man. He's also a sports fan, so he'll recognize where the title comes from.
What is the origin of the title?
The origin of the title is this. There was a defunct football league called XFL, and one of the players, instead of putting his name on the back of his jersey, came up with what I feel is one of the greatest nicknames ever in sports. He Hate Me. So that's where the origin of the title comes from. So we just put the S in front of the he, and it's She Hate Me.
And what was the he referring to?
They could never get Rod Smart to, he said, whoever he is, to all the haters in the world.
Well, now you have, and your poster up there just says it all. One heterosexual male, 18 lesbians, and what is the rest of it?
The fee.
Yes.
$10,000.
Yes, the fee, $10,000. So that kind of tells it all. But actually, in a sense,
That's part of the story.
you have two stories going
Yes.
on. Speak about that a little bit.
Well, the other story is really what we feel is an examination of the rampant corporate greed. Greed which we've seen exhibited at companies like Enron, WorldCom, M-Clone, where what Martha Stewart got caught up in, Adelphia, just out and out blatant greed, rampant, and this mentality where maximize profits, downsize, and do whatever you have to do to cook the books, whatever it is, you know, just pure greed.
And then the other side of the story.
Well, the other side of the story, you have this individual played by Anthony Mackie who became a whistleblower, and because of blowing a whistle on corporate corruption gets fired, all his assets gets frozen, and he's subpoenaed by the SEC, so he's facing the possible some time in prison. And so he comes upon a situation where he's given an opportunity to make some money, and that is to impregnate lesbians who want to have a kid.
Now, the women who play the lesbians,
Right.
are they all actresses, or are some of them lesbians?
No. As a director, you could go to jail at auditioning actors and ask them what their sexual, preference is. So rightfully so, I assumed everybody was heterosexual. So we had a coach. Her name is Tristan Taramino, who worked with the actresses.
And she is an acknowledged lesbian.
Yes, she's a well-respected figure in the lesbian community.
Now, that's fine. You send them to a coach. But what about Spike Lee, the director?
Well, Tristan worked with me too on the script, and so her job was to expand my mind. She red flags. She red flagged stuff in the script. That's a man thing, and that's a man thing. And so she was a valuable asset to this film.
Could you give me an example?
Well, they're just things that men think that are totally wrong about lesbians, and so she really tried to make me see in a more, as I said, more open-minded. She hit me to the many different types of lesbians or prototypes, and so she felt it was very important, which I agreed, that we try to have a full representation as much as we could in this film.
Have you screened it for any lesbian audiences?
Yes, we've had several opinion-making lesbian screenings. We had one in New York, Chicago, Detroit, and last one we had one in Houston. And so what's been interesting, though, is that like any other group, lesbians are not one monolithic group. So Some lesbians like it, some lesbians don't like it.
Could you get any sense of the ones who didn't like it, why they didn't like it?
Well, the ones didn't like it, really the hardliners, and they see that there is not a room for a male in a true lesbian world, where you have other lesbians who are more open-minded and can see the possibility.
And what sort of feedback from heterosexual audiences?
Oh, you know, they like the film a lot, so we're very intrigued by how it's going to be the general response to the film once we open. We're going to open in New York and LA July 3rd. We open here in Dallas August 20th.
Do you find that audiences have a certain perspective or a certain anticipation of a Spike Lee film?
Well, I don't know if I use the word anticipation, but I think they do understand that they're going to see something different when they do go see my films, and I think that this film will be like the rest. I think there's many different things in this film that touch upon a lot of stuff that is happening in the world today, and I really respect the intelligence of today's audience, and so I don't try to dictate to them how they should feel, you know, once they come out of the theater.
Spike, if you had decided to make two separate films
Right.
of this,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of reaction or reception would you have had from the film industry? In other words, would they have liked one story and not liked the other?
Well, I think that one of the criticisms of the film is that people have a hard time with the two stories. But for me, when it comes to this, I think that if one has become conditioned to Hollywood formulaic films, they're basically the same story told the same way, then when you view a film like this, you might have difficulty being receptive to it. But for me, my own personal way of filmmaking, I like to have multiple stories going on at the same time.
And it's not the first time it's been done.
No,
I mean,
right.
others have done it successfully as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Anthony Mackie.
Yes.
Do you see him as another Denzel?
Well, I think that might be a curse. To compare anybody to a young Denzel, that's a great expectation, and I think Anthony himself will be uncomfortable with that, with a linking like that. But nonetheless, I think he's a fine young actor. I think he has great potential. I think he does a fantastic job in this film. He also has a part in Jonathan Demme's new film Manchurian Candidate, which stars Denzel. So I'm looking forward to Anthony's work as he grows in this industry.
I've told you this, I think, every time since the film was made, that Malcolm X, I think, is just one of the finest films ever.
Thank you very much.
Anytime it plays, I just have to stop what I'm doing and sit down and watch it again. Were you satisfied with the reaction from that and the reception of that film?
Yes, we were very much so. I still get compliments. Denzel and I still get compliments on that film today, and many people tell it, both of us, that is our finest work ever. So we were very satisfied with the final product of Malcolm X.
But see, personally, the reason I'm asking the question is, and I wish they'd stop.
Yo, my man. All right, we got it.
Okay. All right. Where were we?
We still shooting.
Anyway, we were talking about.
Talking about Malcolm.
Yeah, about Malcolm. Pick up with that. People think it's my best work and his best work. Just pick up.
Well, I just think that Denzel and I knew the great responsibility we had. We knew we couldn't go anywhere with that. Even before we started shooting, Denzel and I couldn't go anywhere in the country without people telling us, yo Spike, yo Denzel, don't mess up Malcolm. So there was great pressure on us to perform with that film.
Do you think the industry gave it its just due?
Well, I think we did. I don't think that you could solely judge the industry by Academy Award nominations, which we received 2. Ruth Carter received 1 for costume design, and Denzel received the Best Actor nomination, but only to lose out to Al Pacino for A Scent of a Woman. But I think we got our respect.
Well, you've got another one that I think should get a lot of respect, as well as maybe, as you have already acknowledged a few.
Well, we're very happy with the way this film comes out. We're very happy with the way the film turned out. At the same time, we understand that it might be a little tough for some people trying to get around it because of the subject matter, and also about the multiple stories. But I think that, especially in summertime, when the bulk of the films are really popcorn films, that it might be good. I mean, it is proven. I mean, there have been cases in the last few summers where this is the right time to have a film like this, counter-programming, that does provide a challenge to the audience, but they do have to do some work.
Okay. Well, again, Spike, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Really loved having you, and I wish you the very, very best success.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now he's going to move around so I can read.
Go. Cool.
Bill Cosby's going to be all over you with that title.
Oh, yes, yeah. Bill's a friend of mine, but I think he'll understand where the origin of the title comes from.
What is the origin of the title?
The origin of the title comes from what I feel is one of the greatest nicknames of all time, He Hate Me.
Who is the he in He Hate Me?
Well, Rod Smart never really indicated who he actually was. He said all the haters out there.
Excuse me. You actually have two stories going on in She Hate Me.
Yes. Well, we had the one, the corrupt corporate, and also the one where the character.
Had you presented the two stories as separate movies, what kind of reaction would you have gotten?
Well, I think that there are some studios who probably would have preferred that we do one or the other.
How did you learn about the lesbian? How did you learn about the lesbian lifestyle?
Well, we had a great consultant. Her name is Tristan Tormino, who worked with me very closely.
And she is an acknowledged
Yes,
lesbian.
Tristan is a well-respected figure in the lesbian community.
All right. Okay. Do you see Anthony Mackie as a young Denzel Washington?
Ooh, that would be a curse for any young actor to be considered the young Denzel.
Okay. Do you think that audiences have a certain expectation or anticipation about a Spike Lee movie?
Yes, I would go with the first word you said. They come to my films expecting certain things.
Okay. All right. Let me just run this one by
Okay.
you and just keep rolling. Did you have more than one ending to this movie?
No, the ending you see in the film is the ending with this maybe a new what we see in the film as a new nuclear family.
You don't subscribe to the idea that maybe you're pulling our legs a little bit?
No, we're very serious about the ending in the film.
Okay. All right, that should do it. That should do it.
All right.